Hi there, it's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And I'm in the kitchen right now preparing a dinner. Kind of a big one, but it's going to last me a couple of meals. So this is a T-bone steak. And so it's seasoned well. I seasoned it with black pepper, a seasoning salt blend. I have a secret ingredient or two that I use. And then the sauce is made from the pan drippings. And this was done from frozen. You can take this, you can do this uh, on a low heat from frozen, and then kind of cook it and bring it up to temperature, just kind of watch. Yeah, so it's fine, but it's definitely not frozen now. And actually, I kind of prefer cooking a steak from frozen because while the outside gets really, really flavorful and done, the inside retains its juiciness because the inside of it's still frozen while the outside of it gets a little cooked, and then that thawing process. So that's kind of cool. That's just a personal preference thing. But the sauce is made from the pan drippings, and from that I put a little bit of beef bouillon in the bottom, in lieu of salt, because it's beef bouillon powder is salty of its own. And then added, what's going off the top of my head? Oh, cornstarch. Kind of gotten that cornstarch brown with the pan drippings. And then I added about a cup and a half of water. And if you don't like these bits in your sauce, you can strain the sauce. Okay, and then of course, I made a side of potatoes, cheesy potatoes with bacon. So I'm going to show you that. So these are sliced new potatoes from a can, uh, and then heated and cooked through with the black pepper, a little this and that, whatever seasoning you prefer. I used probably about a tablespoon of butter, and I kept the sauce from the potato because there's salt for preservative, so you don't have to add more salt. I did add some bacon. I browned the bacon and then put it in. I left it kind of a softer, not the crispy bacon, bitty kind of crispy, bacon. But I cooked it till it was done. But but it was going to go into a sauce that was going to get soft anyway. So that's fine. I wanted to render a little bit of that fat into these potatoes, and then of course Colby Jack cheese that I put in at the last to melt down, and there we go. And then, of course, if I want extra bacon for anything, I've got the remainder of the bacon. Whenever I go to fry bacon for dinner like this, I make like the whole pack. And then basically what happens from there is that, I can use it for other things. If I want to do like egg and cheese omelet with bacon or something like that, or bacon in grits or something like that. But anyway, this meal is finished, so I'm going to plate it up, and I'll do a tasting. Hang on. So a meal of this size could easily serve a family of four, especially if you have like a little salad to the side or some peas or something. I'm not a veggie kind of person, which is why this um, uh, I want to say keto. Potatoes don't really throw you off the keto as long as you don't go crazy with them. Uh, but sometimes uh, I have a bread, a sandwich or something, so I don't entirely adhere to a keto diet. But what I want to say, maybe a warm keto diet, meaning most days of the week, yes. And so here I'm working with this small portion. But this, I say that, but not really. I mean, this amount of steak is appropriate with this amount of potatoes for the balance. And, really with a nice salad off to the side or something. What was in the plate, what you saw, cutting this into the beef and off of the bone. and the potatoes or whatever could easily serve a family of four. You know, um, this steak is delicious. Uh, it's I've drizzled some of the sauce from the pan over it. Now it's a very um, what we want to say, maybe a translucent brown sauce versus an opaque brown sauce. And that is attributed to the cornstarch that is used instead of a white flour that we brown in a roux. You know, so this is made from the pan drippings and then the cornstarch and just a little of this and that, but I've got this one surefire secret ingredient that when I'm doing a steak, sometimes I pull out. I don't always use it, but sometimes I'll pull it out and use it on the steak. And when I have some guests over, they're like, "This is really, really good," and then I don't tell them what it is. And then, of course, I've got cold water for my beverage because that is appropriate. That's an appropriate beverage sometimes. Um, so anyway, yeah, let me taste this. I'm gonna get some of the bacon in here. So now this is well, this bacon, you can cut this into smaller bits. I probably should have, but whatever. Really, at this point, cheese bacon. But there's also black peppercorn in the bacon that I used, and in the potatoes also. And some granulated garlic, and I used a few red pepper flakes in this potato. So few that you can barely see them. There they are. Okay, but so it's got a little bit of a bite to it, just a subtle bite. When using any sort of like hot pepper or whatever, you want to make sure that you know the intensity of the heat of the pepper. I once had a pork loin, and a friend of mine, Keith, gave me a ghost pepper from his private garden, and this is my first time with the ghost pepper. And this particular ghost pepper, I don't know, it was intensely hot. I used seeds and everything, chopped the whole thing up, and I put it in a slow cooker with a rather large pork loin, and I thought that the heat would dilute in the fluids, and it turned out to be the spiciest pork loin, and all I could taste was the pepper. Oh, I finished it. I ate it, over time, but it was like, whoa. Got to make some bland food to go along with this, so I could have something to balance it out with. And that was my, if you do overly pepper something, you can use it. If you want to reserve it, you actually can use it as flavoring for other things. Like if I had overly peppered these potatoes, and I didn't, but they're great. But if I had, what I could simply do was take this and reserve it for, open another can of potatoes or whatever, and dilute it. It's the only thing you really can do if you overly salt something, you overly pepper something. You can take things that you accidentally, you get a little overzealous with the spices and seasonings. Then you can use it as flavorings in a larger. You make stews if you over flavor your beef like this. Dilute it down into a cheese and beef soup. This would make. Have a little bit of a milk if you wanted to, and one thing about milk products, milk, butter, cheeses, that end of the dairy spectrum. and I maybe just made that up, Dairy Spectrum. But anything that's milk derivative um, has a tendency to have a muting effect on flavors. Salt, you want to reserve as much salt and not add it to your pan if you're using milk, because milk will mute that salt flavor, and you will end up using more salt in the long run. So if you want to reduce your sodium, wait until, reserve all salt until after the you've added the milk, until the milk has cooked, and wait until you're at the end of it. Then you can add that salt and let it sit for a few minutes or whatever. But really, it's, if you can, you really do want to kind of reduce that sodium. We all know that lower sodium, lower salt is healthier. So it's less fat in your diet, but sometimes you just have to have that bacon. Okay. Bon appetit. God bless. Love and light. Good night.